Hi everybody, it's Heidi here and I'm with Christopher.
Hi guys.
And Christopher is really great behind a video camera, but also in front of one, which is what we're testing out today.
Thank you. Nice to meet you guys.
So Christopher, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure. So my name is Christopher Sellers. I'm kind of an expert in creativity, creative development and strategy. So when it comes to designing your content for whatever you want to kind of put out on whatever format, I'm the guy that clients come to and say, look, we've got an idea, we've got a business, we're not quite sure what we want to do. And so we sort of explore their business, your audience, and how you want to actually connect with them while using film or video or stills or whatever your medium happens to be.
Yes. Have you always worked in video?
I have, as a matter of fact. The tagline at the moment is my career is sort of 15 years of hopscotch between creative and corporate. So I've got a little bit of a background, but artist at heart. So it's really about making quality content that's going to connect with an audience rather than sort of chasing algorithms, which I'm not really a fan of. But that's another chat for another time.
Content and algorithms working together, and that's your magic combination.
You can do both.
Yeah. So what are some, I guess, pillars to your success when it comes to developing a video that's going to get eyeballs, but also build trust and build that relationship with your customer?
Yeah, cool. That's a great question. I'm talking about this tomorrow actually, so it kind of plays in nicely. There's three kind of things we look at when we're developing trust content. We're all sort of aware that it's longer form video, longer form content. You're building longer relationships with your audience, with your clients. That's something to be aware of, which is great. The key points that kind of break down is the first is if you need to have a point of difference, which everybody knows, but specifically if you can break down a puzzle or a problem that you're going to solve in a specific way that's relative only to you. That's going to distinguish you from everybody else. Okay, so that's going to be your point of difference. And the second good tip in really determining trust is really engaging your audience and sort of being reliable in that sense and not trying to sell to them. It's a big one. The big one about establishing trust relationships is I'm having a chat with Heidi, going, hey, great chat, buy my book. And all of a sudden, your credibility disappears. And when you're trying to establish yourself as an authority, you really want to build a relationship where your audience or your clients, they're coming to you for answers, ideally. And it also engenders word of mouth amongst your competitors, your colleagues, your peers, all that sort of thing. And since word of mouth is free and incredibly effective, when I'm working with clients generally, it's like if you want to build a campaign, would you not build one to help engender word of mouth?
Yeah, so sort of amplifying word of mouth as it is naturally, but
make the most of it. Make the most of it. So we have some clients where we're only working with sort of long form authority content because that's their niche.
So when you say, long form, for me in written content, that's long form. In video, how many minutes maybe are we talking about?
Yeah, sure. So if you're looking at Facebook and Insta, you're generally trying to keep things under 1 to 2 minutes because that's when the cutoff is for paid ads. So a lot of people are sort of aware of that. If you wanted something longer form on, say, your website or like a video blog or YouTube, 5 minutes and over, there's some little mini documentaries which are about 15 minutes and they're a lot of fun as well. Because once your audience has kind of eaten up all the little crumbs around and they're ready to sort of invest in you and actually spend some money, they're going to want to know some more. They want something deeper. And if you can't provide that to them, then you kind of, that sort of trust factor, that confidence isn't quite there. But if I find an article, I find a blog, or like even like a short essay or whatever else I can really sink into, it doesn't have to give me all the answers, but it gives me enough to say, hey, can I know some more about this? And then you get a conversation.
Yes, it does. And if I apply that to the sales funnel, where I know it's not about selling, maybe it's story selling rather than, or storytelling with a mix of selling. But if I apply that to the sales funnel where we've got awareness, intent, or awareness, consideration, intent, referral, loyalty, I guess you could consider breaking the video content up to talk to those people where they're maybe looking for, they don't know they've got a problem, so they need to be looking at content that will help them recognize that. And then, once they've consumed that sort of content, they're then in consideration phase, which is maybe where the facts and figures come into the video, them helping them compare different solutions. So is that sort of as well in terms of when you are doing your long form and short form, does that have a play at all when you consider that funnel? Yeah,
so in some circles it's like know and trust. So if I know you, if I like you, I'm going to warm up, but once I trust you, that's when I want to commit to something. So
how do you know when you've got trust?
It's a really interesting thing because it's not immediately sort of quantifiable. It's not a metric that you can count.
Yes.
So there's a lot of grey metrics around that. But to share, like I only use, say, my Facebook really socially. I don't use it as a business thing. But what's interesting is whenever if I ask a question, hey, I want to go somewhere this year, I'm not quite sure where I want to go, or if I'm actually having doubts or something else like that, I tend to get a lot of response. But what's interesting as well is when I actually see these people in the street, they go, oh, hey Chris, how's Thailand? Because they knew I was in Thailand for 2 weeks and I was writing a book. So they haven't liked, they haven't shared, they haven't commented, but they're still aware, they're still engaged.
Passively consuming your content.
Right.
Yeah.
So whether they're here 2 months, 3 months, 6 months down the line, or they're also referring me to other people, I'm more trusting of that. That's where I'm choosing to put my investment, rather than to the immediate metrics.
Yeah, and it's more of a longer term thought behind that. Like it's getting lasting success, not a cash grab.
And the reason for the stats kind of behind it is when you have loyalty in a customer, it's 2 to 3 times the return of investment for that client or that audience. It makes it a more equitable return on investment for your cost of acquisition. So if you're spending a lot of money on Facebook ads or whatever it is, it's money and time that's going out just to get them in the door.
Yes.
I used to work with a previous startup where churn was a big deal.
Okay.
So cost of acquisition was one thing, but then they come in, they do whatever they want to, and then leave. And so having longer term relationships, they're less likely to leave. They stay, they're going to spend more.
Yes.
And again, that word of mouth. Like there's nothing like it. It's free, and that's what I would tend to urge kind of suppliers to consider, rather than sort of immediate, we've got this in the door.
Yeah, perfect. Well, that's really great, and it's good to get the thinking behind a video producer's thought process when it comes to building trust with the customer. If you could just give us some tips around authority.
Yeah.
Why is authority important when we're in such a crowded space, and how does that help draw people to you?
Yeah, it's a good question. Authority, in my opinion, it kind of comes down to where an audience is seeking you out for something. And if they think of a topic or a service, yours is the name that comes to mind.
Yeah.
So McDonald's, for instance, isn't an authority on burgers because everybody does burgers, but they are an authority on franchising and real estate. And that's
interesting, because most, the consumer would be like, they do burgers.
Yeah.
But
they don't do them special, they don't do them magic. You know what I mean? They're an expert on convenience and franchising and real estate, right? So that's sort of what it comes down to. So in terms of being an authority, and again, it depends on your service.
Absolutely.
If it's high sales or something else, it might not be the right fit. But if you want to position yourself this way, it is achievable. And what the biggest disconnect really, and this is what I break it all down to, is I don't quite understand the disconnect between personal relationships that you build every day in life with people in the cafe or whatever.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's a different set of rules when you're applying it online. It becomes about chasing likes and have you seen it, and getting it in front of strangers and all that sort of thing. And don't understand why the communication is different to strangers online as opposed to, hi, my name's Christopher, Heidi, nice to meet you. Tell me about yourself.
I don't think people have quite gotten yet that everyone behind a computer screen is a person. And there was a quote there from Angela, wasn't it? The customer are people.
Yeah.
So start treating them like people and not robots behind a screen.
And your audience is people, and people forget that when they're using video specifically. There's an assumption that it's a one-way medium. Because you're on a camera, I'll talk to the camera, you share it, them out there, they'll watch it, they'll know who I am. No one's going to care. But with film and video, you're actually having a conversation with the viewer. I want to invite them in, I want to engage you. And if I wanted to engage you over a coffee table, I'd ask you questions.
Yes. And you talk about the two-way feedback, live video. I mean, yes, it's great, the strategic play you can have with pre-record video, and the editing that you can touch on that, and brand, like rate for brand. That power of live video now is just through the roof. And I think as more people become more comfortable, getting in front of a camera and becoming comfortable with themselves as well, I think that'll open up a whole nother, well, it already is a whole nother element of marketing. You've got more of a natural feel to it, people genuinely human connection, because that's really the closest we have to face-to-face right now is live video.
Yeah.
Well, look, this has been really great. Thanks for the chat. Really appreciate your time, and good luck with your speech tomorrow.
Perfect. I'll see you front row, I'm sure.
Yes, I'm sure I'll do that.
Thank you very much.